Hey guys, and welcome back. Well, as you know, during the past couple of weeks, Sean Diddy Combs has been accused of an array of sexual assault and physical abuse allegations with multiple lawsuits. Wendy Williams has been out of sight for a couple of years now, but you know, the queen of gossip and celebrity rumors, she tried to warn us about Sean Diddy Combs, P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, whatever you call him. And I don't know if y'all remember, but they had an ongoing beef, which caused her career setbacks. Yes. Now, one social media user put it this past week. Now, he said the thing she said about Diddy was known years ago. Wendy Williams stayed on his neck. And as I researched, he was very correct. Now, Williams and Combs had a long, contentious history. Now, if you can remember, Wendy Williams began working for the New York City Hot 97 radio station in 1994. And Sean Diddy Combs, well, he called himself Puff Daddy at that time. He started Bad Boy record label around 1993, and he had great artists. Now, when he started the Bad Boy record label, it was a joint venture with Arista Records. And when you say Arista Records, you think of who? Clive Davis. Yeah, the Clive Davis who let Whitney Houston's body sit while they had their party and wouldn't let them move the body. Well, I'm getting on another subject. Well, I'll do another video about Mr. Clive Davis, but you get my drift. Well, anyway, Clyde Arista Records broke off and gave Sean Diddy Combs Bad Boy record label. Now, he hurled out talent like Notorious Big, Lil' Kim, Mace, Faith Evans, and Total, and was constantly on the radio. Now, Hot 97 launched around the time the Bad Boy launched. Former Bad Boy President Kirk Burrows said during an interview with the podcast, The Art of Dialogue in 2022, he said, "We came with records that helped the rotation to be fulfilled." Now, during an episode of the radio show, which was called The Wendy Williams Experience that aired in 2009, Williams recounted a time when Sean Diddy Combs allegedly instructed members of his group Total. Total was an all-female R&B trio, and they had a couple of hits. But he allegedly, now, we have to say allegedly, told them to go down to the studio and jump on Wendy Williams. Oh, yes, he did. Now, Wendy said on that podcast, she said, "I got off the air one day. Them Total bitches were downstairs, and everybody upstairs at the radio station was looking down, egging it on, waiting for something to go down." Now, she said her boyfriend at the time prevented anything further from happening. Yes, he did. Now, that told us that Diddy wasn't right then, and the physical aspect of Diddy. Now, in that same 2022 interview, Burrows, who was president of Bad Boy Records, detailed the East Coast West Coast feud between Bad Boy and Death Row Records, which Death Row Records was Suge Knight's, in the 1990s, and Wendy Williams' involvement. Now, Burrows claimed that Puff Daddy, infant son, and the boy's mother, Misa Hilton, Misa, I think she pronounced it Misa Hilton, but Misa Hilton were paid to take a picture with Puff's rival, Suge Knight. Yeah, and I got the picture right here. Now, can you imagine Misa Hilton is letting Sean Diddy Combs' son, Justin, take a picture with Suge Knight? Now, that was a mess, okay? But it got back to the East Coast that Misa was there in the office and that Suge was meeting with Justin Combs and possibly holding him in his arms. And that there was a photographer taking a picture. Now, that wasn't the picture we needed to see on our end or that we wanted the world to see at all, Burrell said. Now, somehow Wendy got wind of the photo and announced that she had big news coming on her syndicated radio show. And the Bad Boy team had to intervene to prevent the photo from spreading to the public. Now, you know, the internet, this was before this was powerful as it is now. Now, this is the photo that Wendy Williams had that Diddy got her fired off of. Now later, yeah, I said fired. Now later, Williams had a theory that Combs engaged in sexual activity with other men, and she received a photo of a man allegedly pulling Puff Daddy's shorts down while he was on vacation in Cancun. Now, during an Art of Dialogue interview in 2022, Combs' former bodyguard, Gene Deal, said that Combs got Wendy Williams fired from her job at Hot 97 before she could address the photo on the air. Now, can you imagine how much power Combs had at that time? With the radio stations in New York. Now, Gene Deal went on to say, motherfuckers didn't breathe hard if Combs didn't want them to. Combs got one of the hottest DJs off of 97 because she wanted to put up a picture of him getting his pants pulled down. Now, Combs told Hot 97 if they didn't get rid of her before he got back to New York, that they were not going to get any music from any of his friends, any of the record label executives, and that was cool with him. Everyone was going to boycott 97. Now, Deals went on to say we was out in L.A. for about 3 days. Before we landed back in New York, Wendy Williams was in the radio station in Philly. It was over for her in New York. She was fired. Now, Wendy addressed her ouster from the New York City area radio market in an interview with Vlad TV in 2013 while discussing homophobia in hip-hop. Now, there was a radio personality once upon a time. Her name was Wendy Williams, and she was practically burnt at the stake for talking about such. Now it's all come full circle, Wendy said. There were many situations back in my career, and it's all coming full circle. But what feels most significant in light of recent revelations was the moment that Wendy speculated on her televised talk show in 2015 that Diddy may have had controlling behavior after he and his then girlfriend, Casey Ventura, temporarily split. Now, Wendy went on to say, my thing about when you date a mogul, it's a really difficult thing to avoid them because if you use your head, you never know when they'll pop up on the scene. Now, she said, he can hire a plane right now and land on the roof of the hotel she's staying, pay people off at the front desk, give me a key, and let me up in her room. Sound familiar? So Wendy was telling it, but nobody was listening. You hear what I'm saying? You feel me? Now in November, as you know, Cassie filed a lawsuit against Combs, accusing him of rape, physical, and emotional abuse. Now Cassie, who was also signed to Bad Boy, accused Combs of drugging her to perform sexual acts with him and sex workers and being brutally violent during their 11-year rocky relationship. Now, just a day after that suit was filed, Puff Diddy digged deep in his pockets and settled with Casey. Now, it was too late. Now, after, as you know, I don't have to tell you what's going on now. Now, after she was brave enough to come out with it, now we have a slew of lawsuits against Puff Daddy, Diddy, whatever you want to call it, and more to come. Now, Wendy and Puff ultimately had a kumbaya moment 2 years later when the record label owner made a guest appearance on the Wendy Williams show. Now, I know I pissed a lot of people off, including you, but this is a full circle moment, Wendy told Combs, explaining to the audience that she hadn't seen him in 15 years. Now, Puff admitted that he was nervous to come on the show, but applauded Wendy for being one of the first hip-hop journalists. Now, Wendy proceeded to uncharacteristically toss Combs a number of softball questions, asking him mainly about his children and charity work. Now, then Puff began to promote his then latest project, a documentary on the history of Bad Boy Records. As African American men and women, we needed to have a story that had a good ending, a success story, Wendy said. But then, during another one of Puffy's on and off relationship stints with Cassie Ventura, Wendy addressed the breakup on the air in 2018, claiming that Ventura wasted her time with a man who was 17 years her senior, roughly a week after the split was announced. Diddy took to social media in an attempt to win Cassie back. Now, Wendy said, I suggest don't use social media, though, to reach out. This was a grand overture for Diddy. I don't believe he really wants her or wants her back. I believe he probably treated her at some particular point like a possession. If you really care, then you'd reach out privately, not publicly. Now, after Ventura's lawsuit was settled, a string of allegations of abuse poured down on Sean Diddy Combs. Now, on November 23, an accuser claimed Combs drugged and raped her when she was a college student at Syracuse University in 1991. Now, the next day, another lawsuit claimed that Diddy and R&B singer Aaron Hall pressured a woman to drink before raping her. And on Wednesday, Combs was accused of gang raping a teenager with music executive Harv Pierre in 2003. Now, after that, a man has come forth and said that, I guess he was Puff Daddy then, while his years at Howard University drugged and raped him. And this individual said he still have the clothes, I guess with Diddy's DNA on it to prove it, and that he is alleged that he is coming out to sue Diddy as well. Now, in response to all these claims, Combs posted a statement on social media this week that read in part, sickening allegations have been made against me by individuals looking for a quick payday. Let me be absolutely clear. I did not do any of the awful things being alleged. I will fight for my name, my family, and for the truth. Now, everybody was like, oh, wow, this is a great time for Wendy Williams. Everybody was saying, oh, this is a great time for Wendy Williams to make a return to talk about Diddy, how she wanted to talk about him years ago but couldn't. But Wendy Williams' publicist said the former talk show host did not have any comments on the recent allegations against Combs. And yes, guys, Wendy Williams, she need to put a suit out against him. I mean, because he had her fired from her job. And if Wendy wasn't a person who just, hey, failed, got back off, and dusted herself off and recreated herself, we wouldn't have had the Wendy Williams show if it was up to Sean Diddy Combs. Well, you see the karma now. You see the karma. Now, even though we know that Wendy Williams' health has not been good in the past years, and we know even her mental status hadn't been good, so I'm sure she's unable to get out there and tell all the dirty deeds that he did against her and all that she knew about in the industry. But it's coming unfold. Oh, and I have to mention, it was announced this week that one of his other rivalries, 50 Cent, is in in the making of an upcoming documentary about all the sex abuse allegations. And he's going to give the proceeds from that film to women who have been sexually abused. So when I say karma is biting Diddy on his ass, I mean it's biting it. Those same people that you put your foot on coming up, you gonna see them same people coming down. And I wouldn't be surprised if an indictment, after all this shit comes out, will be put upon Diddy. And we might have another R. Kelly situation. And R. Kelly may have a new cellmate. All right, guys. Now, question to you is, what do you think?